Are you ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess if you want to start with what today's topic is.
Okay. So, originally, thinking breeders versus adopter type of thing, rescues, but I think it should be more of a adopt or shop responsibly type of conversation. And then we'll talk about, the good and the bad versus for each one. Yeah.
Yeah. I myself have only gone through a breeder, although like family pets we've rescued. So I don't have much input there, but I am happy to learn. I know I'm going to learn a lot today. So I guess we should probably start with just a few definitions, just so like we're on this, you and I are on the same page, and anyone watching, is on the same page. We just want to be like very precise and accurate with how we word things. I guess if we could define what exactly makes a backyard breeder, what's a puppy mill, and like what exactly makes a reputable breeder reputable.
Okay. So starting with breeders, good being someone who kind of, does their research on their breed, does the health testing required for the breed standard, participates in their breed's events. We'll get into that more. And then breeding for health and betterment of the breed. Bad breeders, puppy mills, and backyard breeders. Puppy mills being someone who solely just breeds and breeds and breeds and breeds for the purpose of having puppies, regardless of health and temperament and, mental stability. Backyard breeders can be someone as easy as accidental litter, or someone who just wants to breed their dog because they like their dog, or just to have a litter, make some money. That's usually the end result for those guys, is the money is what they want.
Is that the same with the puppy mills?
Yeah.
Typically?
Oh, yeah. All about the money.
It's just larger scale.
Larger scale, yep. And usually poorer.
Much worse conditions.
Yeah. Rescues, making sure the good being trying to place the dog in an appropriate home, making sure the dog's healthy enough to be adopted or set up for success if it's going to a home with health conditions.
And that's probably not even just limited to like physical health. I imagine like there's a whole mental health aspect of that.
And then bad rescues, the ones that typically only have puppies, work with puppy mills. That's a thing.
Interesting.
Adopts at higher rates with very little veterinary care into it, or even just standard care, honestly. They're just trying to adopt as fast as they can to get more dogs in and be able to adopt them out. Just kind of like a puppy mill, but rescue version.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Because, like, to me, if you're going to do something with dogs, it's like, do it for the good reasons. Do it, like, if I'm going to start a rescue, it's because I want it to be, like, the best rescue. I could never imagine, like, being in cahoots with a puppy mill. That's just, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's, those are the red flags if they constantly have puppies and not much else. And it's a red flag.
Is that like basically almost like laundering money? Like it's laundering dogs,
pretty much.
Kind of like.
Pretty much, and bad rescues and puppy mills kind of work together, kind of hand in hand sometimes. So you gotta be careful. But we can start going into in-depth stuff for each one if you want, for each category, and then we can talk about versus who versus who versus or.
Yeah. So I'd like to just clarify for me real quick that it's totally a adopt or shop. Just do it responsibly. Yeah, don't support someone, and we'll get into the the signs to look for, but if you see these signs, don't support it, you know. Quick question on that. Is there a moral difference, do you think, between puppy mills and backyard breeding?
Not really, honestly. I mean,
Is it all
they think they have, backyard breeders are thinking they're doing the right thing or they want to be doing the right thing, but in the end, they're not. They're just contributing to, shelters, the overpopulation of breeds, strays, stuff like that.
right? Would you say they're both immoral? They're both obviously bad for
They're bad, yes, but there's always the steps they can do to become better. Obviously, if you're first starting out breeding dogs and you know nothing, and then you learn along the way, you can become better.
right.
There's always a chance to become better. Puppy mills, usually not, but backyard breeders, they can take the steps to become better. In the
So
long
someone
run.
I guess who's like not super greedy, not trying to do it for money, but they're just like,
They're learning,
it's
type
like
of
their
thing.
first couple litters,
Yeah,
they're figuring it out. Yeah. Okay. So you're not necessarily an evil person just because you
exactly. You're not evil, but you're not great.
are you evil if you are running a puppy mill?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. All the things that go wrong.
And
with
some of
puppy
the
mills.
questions I ask like that are like not necessarily because I challenge your view, but I want to play like devil's advocate a little, like so, you know what I mean? I would agree. I'm not asking that because I don't agree. I
Yeah,
just want to
no,
make
that's
I
fine.
just want to make sure that yeah, don't hate me. Yeah, so I guess if we go into some of the details
Yeah.
on those three I don't know what to call them. Those three methods of obtaining a puppy.
Yeah.
That's what it is, yeah. So wherever, I guess, do you want to start with reputable breeder or?
Yeah, I'll start with reputable breeders. So typically, like I was mentioning before, they'll do the health testing recommended by the breed standards. So each breed has their own standard of health testing, not just a vet appointment, not just Embark or Wisdom panel. There's a whole bunch of just like DNA tests. It's like full-on comprehensive testing for specific things by a board-certified veterinarian who has gone through years specifically studying that field. So I'll use Shiloh, he's a Borzoi, as an example. His requirements for his breed is let's see here, I just typed everything up. So degenerative myelopathy, so that's pretty much like
Could you say that?
degenerative myelopathy.
Degenerative.
Yep, myelopathy.
Myelopathy.
Yes.
All right. So something's degenerating. I know
Yes,
that much.
it's usually muscle,
Okay.
usually like hind end where they start to, lose muscle, trouble getting up, stuff like that. That's prone in his breed. Having their thyroids done every year.
And sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you. So that's something Shiloh was tested as a puppy.
So their parents are tested, and I did my own testing of him too because they can become carriers even if the parents are clear.
Okay.
They can still be a carrier.
Gotcha.
Um,
Now, does that guarantee he won't have it? Is
if
there
you
a
do the
chance?
correct testing.
Okay.
It's not something they just develop.
Got you.
Um,
So all these tests are not for something that would be developed. It's like pretty, like you can see it very early on.
So it developed for them to have that specific disease. It does develop as they get older. So it's not right there onset. It's kind of develops as they age, but you can test for it to see if he's at risk versus a carrier versus clear.
Okay. I see.
He's clear, thankfully.
So is that DNA?
So
being tested?
that can be done through blood. He got a wisdom panel done, which I can submit to the proper testing websites, and they can tell me if that's the proper, like the test that they did was good enough for their standards, which it is. I like to make sure before I do anything because it's a lot of money. It's not cheap, and that should be a big thing for good breeders is they're not worried about the money. They're worried about, testing to better their breed. Next would be like thyroid. Yearly, they should be done because they can develop thyroid disease as they get older. And then eye certificate, which is just, making sure the eyes, I think they have like an iris issue as they age. So you get that done yearly. So echocardiograms, so they require advanced echocardiograms, so not just stethoscope to the heart, they need an actual ultrasound machine to the heart to see if there's any diseases, if they're prone to DCM, which is degenerative cardiomyopathy, so the degeneration of the heart.
Okay. How often do they test for that? Every year? Or?
It should be done every year. But mainly if you're going to do
that's specifically to borzois in this case, right?
Specifically to borzois, yes. Okay. They should be especially done before any breeding, like within the year of breeding, if you plan to breed. I also pulled up a poodle, just a random dog. So for poodles, they recommend hip dysplasia testing, so x-rays, either by pen hip or OFA, so that's just like a scale of, are they prone to hip dysplasia, stuff like that.
And we're talking x-rays of just the puppy? And we're judging based off the parents?
So not the puppy, the adult.
Okay.
So the parents and or the puppy as an adult.
Okay.
Again, before breeding. I think that's like a one and done thing. I'm not 100% sure because my breed doesn't require it. Mm-hmm. The eye certificate, again, they're also prone to thyroid disease, and then they also require echocardiogram for the heart. And then I just did a random one again, Chihuahua, cardiac, because they're prone to heart murmurs and heart issues as they age. Eyes, because they get eye issues, glaucoma, stuff like that. And then a fun one is patellas. They have very prone to luxating patellas, especially as they age, they get worse. And that can be arthritic to the older dog and something you don't particularly want to breed for.
Yeah. So most of that stuff you can like see early on. Like I
can start to pick up on it, but it definitely develops as they age type of thing. Yeah. Which is why it's so important to do health testing, so that way you can follow the lines of, the breeders' pets that they're breeding to see if they ever had those issues. Is it potential for your dog? Is your dog potential to pass that down to someone else?
Yeah, because I think the most earth-shattering thing for somebody would probably be to get a puppy and then all of a sudden it's got all these issues. Yeah. Maybe even die,
Yeah, exactly.
And it's nothing that you could have done if you went to, like, say, a puppy mill, backyard breeder.
Exactly. They don't have any health testing, if that. Some backyard breeders do health testing, but they don't do enough. Yeah. That's why they're so considered.
So it's essentially just the future is sort of very cloudy.
Exactly.
Even if you got like a good deal or whatever, yeah.
A good way to figure out which health testing is needed for your breed, you can go to the AKC website, and you can search each individual breed and what they require, or it'll tell you to go to your breed's parent club, so dog club, so Borzoi Club of America is a one for Borzois, and they'll tell you,
American Border Collie Association. Yeah.
They'll tell you what's recommended for health testing usually. You can also go to the OFA website. They have also a recommendation for per breed.
Now, hearing all this, already I personally, but just thinking in the mindset, it's like, okay, I'm hearing this. Maybe this is the first time I'm hearing it.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, and I'm if I'm someone who is just like looking at dogs on Craigslist or whatever, maybe this gets me thinking, maybe I should. How do I go about finding a breeder that I can,
Yeah. Breeders don't typically post on Craigslist. That's a good one.
Right. Yeah.
Good breeders don't typically post on there, but usually...
If I don't know I don't know what I'm doing, I'm trying to find a puppy. Oh, I think this place at the South Shore Plaza looks cute. I walked in, I saw a bunch of dogs. They were really cute in the little behind the
tanks.
glass windows. Yeah, the fish tanks. Yeah. So, what would you tell someone like that? Like, how can they obtain that information to where they
can find a good breeder.
Yeah, can find a good breeder.
So all pet stores and malls are puppy mill puppies. Sorry to break it to everybody, but they are puppy mill puppies. And if they say otherwise, they're very fraudulent. Don't believe it. A good place to find breeders is on the AKC website as well. You can also go to dog shows and talk and get word of mouth. There's usually really good recommendations on who to stay away from, who to go to. But a good breeder is breeding for the preservation of the breed or to improve the breed. With, like I said, required health testing. And like I said, they even do the events for that dog. So herding does herding trials and or conformation. Sporting dogs do hunting and or conformation. If they do both, that's A+. If they just do conformation, that's not the end of the world. They're breeding for preservation. Obviously, if they do like the trials per the breed, they're definitely just trying to see if their dog is, conformationally sound and can do its required tasks that it was bred for.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get, like, for instance, a border collie that had no herd drive, or like that's the whole soul of the dog. I feel it's
they should have
purpose,
those instincts.
Yeah. So preserving
those
because
instincts,
that's I feel like a lot of different dogs have their the border collies, they've got their little crouch. Like a borzoi, they got those regal like strides. Like each breed has its own like distinguishing just like wow factor.
Yeah.
And it's like, you want to keep that. That's something that makes them special.
It is.
So.
There's also the United Kennel Club, which is called UKC. It's a good place to, start out, but keep in mind it's not as strict as the AKC. So there are requirements for the dog. So you could probably have an off-colored, off-standard dog that's not breed standard and still show it. So just be careful if you go to the UKC. Though they're trying to do well, they aren't standard. A lot of dogs aren't standard because they're not as strict as the AKC.
I'm sure maybe we can get into that later under the bad breeders, but I'm sure Doodles is on your mind.
Oh my gosh. Any designer breed, honestly. And
what? I forget, was it a Siberian Husky and French Bulldog you sent me? Some weird. It was really weird. It sold for like $1 million. Just like.
It was a fluffy Frenchie, but they call them Siberian or Husky Frenchies because they're fluffy and. I don't even want to get into that right now. And then I think other than that, for good breeders, they should be breeding titled dogs. Untitled dogs are, not the worst, but they don't have their championship title, grand championship title. If they don't have any titles, that should be a red flag. And the breeder has them registered on the AKC website and stuff, and OFA and doing health testing, but none of their dogs are placing, that should be a red flag.
Is that sort of like the dog's paperwork, if you will? Like their the points they've gotten, their championships from the dog shows, that's sort of their paperwork saying like, hey, look,
they have
I've
this
maintained
title.
At least the minimum,
So you want to see a championship title or some type of title given the breed, because each breed has different titles if they're not just doing conformation. So again, if they do field events and stuff like that. So coursing, lure coursing is a big one. There's a bunch of coursing events like Fast Cat or LGRA is a long coursing. So
yeah, the Fast Cat. I'm not very familiar with it other than I've heard it mentioned. There's a dog, Neva, Siberian Husky, that goes to the dog park. She's actually the owner, Ashley. She's the woman that brought me to the sled dog race. And she does Fast Cat, and you know, I had to Google. I'm like, what the hell is that? Had to Google it. It's like the lure, and it's on, but just so cool. Like,
it is really cool to
know,
watch.
Letting the dogs do what they're, you know,
Bred to do. Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful.
And then from there, you know, the adoption application, or not adoption, but purchasing application, a good breeder will have a contract. So they will have a contract to discuss if you cannot keep the dog, discussing if you can show or not, if you get, you know, full registration versus, you know, want a pet quality pet. Good breeders should be able to distinguish their faults within their own line. So they should be able to tell you if you're looking for a show quality dog versus, you know, more of a home pet type of dog within their own breeding standard. They'll ask you about your lifestyle, your jobs, how long, you know, the puppy will be alone for or the dog will be alone for. They're in it to pretty much make sure, you know, that dog's probably going to be with you for the rest of your life type of situation. Most good breeders will never let their dogs go to a shelter. They'll either find a way to get the dog back or find placement for that dog. Mm-hmm. And that's why good, reputable breeders don't contribute to the overpopulation of pets. They'll either have a spay-neuter contract with you depending on the breed and, you know, the age versus, you know, again, showing you can't alter your pet. So it depends.
Yeah, it's funny. All those good things you mentioned, just like when I'm running them through my head, it's like I'm checking them off, just thinking about the breeder that I purchased Banjo and Bailey from. It's like, yep, okay, yep, all right, good. I feel comfortable and confident now, you know. I guess I could talk real quick about my quick experience getting them. Yeah. So on their website, they've got listed that all puppies are sold with AKC or ABCA registration. AKC you mentioned was American Kennel Club. ABCA, American Border Collie Association. So they're registered, which was a huge check, right? The real important thing, and especially because I watch a double merle Australian Shepherd, for those listening that aren't familiar with that, well, you'll probably be able to describe that better than I can. If you want to describe the merle on merle.
Yeah, so it's considered like a high white gene, so mostly white dogs with like very little merle in it. They can have a lot of eye issues, ear issues, heart issues. It's considered almost like a deadly gene almost, and should be a red flag if you see the word double merle, exotic, teacup, anything like that. Those should be red flags.
Yeah, so he's blind. And Jane, his owner, absolutely just wants to like find the breeder and kill him. But I mean, there's no finding that. And so obviously, I think most people, and this is me talking out of inexperience, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. People that, or sorry, let me clarify. Breeders that don't care, right? Breeders that don't care will breed merle to merle to increase the chance of getting a merle puppy because they sell for more money, ?
I believe so. I don't know the whole
That's what I'd imagine.
Genetics of merle, but
yeah. And then I think I read online on Wikipedia. I think there's a 1 in 4 chance that a merle to merle bred dog will get that gene, the double merle gene. So it's like if you consciously breed merle to merle, that just seems like,
again, red flag.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god. So like
most likely a backyard breeder.
Yeah, so I'm mentioning all this in preface to on the breeder that I got my border collies from. Shout out to Plum Hollow Border Collies. We always do our best to get you the puppy of your dreams. However, Please note that we can never guarantee you a puppy of a specific coat or eye color. Everybody wants the one blue eye, one brown eye, you know. We strictly breed for optimal health, temperament, and therefore have little to no control over the appearance of our puppies. And that just speaks volumes to me about somebody who like really just cares about, like you mentioned, bettering the breed, continuing the breed, you know, not caring about whether it's got crazy eyes, crazy cool colors.
Whatever can make them a quick buck.
Yeah, it's like they just seem to just care about making sure their dogs have like the best life that they're going to have. So to me, supporting them was like a big, I guess, no-brainer. Like it was very easy. I was very comfortable. When I got Bailey, so if you remember, I was working at BU. I knew somebody, well, working at BU, but not for BU, just to clarify. And somebody who worked for BU, so my client, knew Plum Hollow Border Collies. And she sort of like got us all set up and hooked up. And she visited them and brought a puppy back. So about a year and a half later, we were like Sam had any choice. I was thinking, I was thinking of getting a second border collie. And so I was, all right, well, Logan over at Plum Hollow Border Collies, he made it super easy. I was super confident. You know, there was no, like, I didn't have any questions in my mind. So he was very easy to work with again. You know, picked out a, you know, hey, we want that one, you know, which I wish I could have met Banjo before I picked him. Just sort of thinking about it, but they're over in Pennsylvania, way out. So it's just like sort of too far. Like you couldn't meet, or maybe you did. Did you meet Fable before you?
No, I didn't meet Fable or Shiloh. So picture, yes. And then they kind of gave me my options. So that's like a good thing to point out is don't settle typically for a certain puppy if they post pictures of puppies, because that breeder should match you to your dog, to your lifestyle. So obviously if you have a calm lifestyle, they're not going to match you to a high energy dog that may be the pretty dog. Right. So a lot of breeders will give you like first, second, third picks of your choice of either male or female. So you let them know, do you prefer male or female? They'll ask you out of the puppies that are male versus female, first, second, third picks. And then as they develop, they should choose the dog for you or recommend the dog best for your lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And like, you know, I think it took, so I think, yeah, so just sort of taking in all that information. Sorry, I'm just took a second to process it. Like when we were looking at getting or when I was looking, again, it's a little, when I was looking at getting Banjo, yeah, we went back and forth for a few days. It's like, here's the available ones. We were sort of just talking about them.
And their personalities, most likely.
Yeah. So I can actually say we in the sense of we, once Sam was like, you know, it was more like not, hey, Sam, can we get another dog? It was like, hey, Sam, we're getting another dog. So we planned a road trip to just sort of go out, and it's like, this time, let's go out, let's see it. Not because I'm uneasy at the idea of like, well, maybe it's actually this shady place, but more of just like, I don't know, like, let's go meet them, let's go see it. Like, I'm very curious to see like how awesome it is. So we, oh gosh,
a lot of good breeders will let you go to their place either after accepting you as like a purchasee of one of their dogs, or we'll do like Zoom stuff so you can see their place, their dogs. Keep in mind they may not always have dad on site, because a lot of people will do, you know, out cross breedings with other breeders, but typically they have mom on site, or if it's a split breeding, so sire the owners of the sire will take some puppies after they're a certain age, and the owners of the dam will keep puppies after a certain age. So keep in mind there may not be both parents on site, but going to get your dog, you should be able to see.
Never thought about
the
it
location.
from that angle.
Yeah, should see the location, see the, how sanitary it is, typically before you go type of thing, just to be safe, because you never know. And then
you don't want to show up and it's like there's poop everywhere.
Exactly.
They're living in like their
Cages,
own feces.
yeah.
Like,
and that's a red flag.
mm-hmm.
They'll also be able to provide medical records. Obviously, they should be seen before, sold to anybody. Grid breeder will make sure they get at least their first distemper shots, second and third, depending on the breed, on what age they send them out. Some breeders like to keep their puppies a little longer, and that's a good sign too.
When's the earliest?
8 weeks should be the earliest at any point.
I know a few people that have gone way,
and that's
5 weeks.
That's
the dogs had issues,
that's
like
a red
health
sign.
issues.
Oh yeah, they can have health issues. They can have mental issues. But typically, the longer the breeder keeps the puppies, the better development for those puppies, especially if they're kept with mom, because she can teach them proper respect, pretty much, and manners.
Like boundaries a
exactly.
little bit.
As well as they should be able to provide those medical records, like I was saying.
Yeah, so we decided, let's do it. Let's drive out there. Let's make sure Banjo's not living in his own feces, So it was, I want to say, probably an 11.5-ish hour drive one way. So the plan didn't stay the plan. It never does with me. I'll make a plan and it changes real quick. So we drove. Yeah, so basically Boston they're in Fort Littleton, Pennsylvania. So it took us about 11 hours. I think we left at like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. because we want to avoid as much traffic in the morning as we could. So we get there at like 2 p.m. So how long is that? Oh, God, I'm too drunk for math.
I don't know.
Well, long enough. Like 8 hours, I don't know. Long enough. So we finally get there. We do it in one long shot, just stopping pretty much for gas. It was a long, long drive.
That's what I did for both my guys.
Yeah, and so Logan, the breeder, had people coming like that whole day, just sort of random times, picking up puppies from that same litter. So, excuse me one sec. So we got there at like 2 p.m. and he had Banjo already out. So he lives, we pull up on like this dirt road way out in Pennsylvania, just farm as far as you can see, just like sweeping hills of farm. So already I'm like, good. It's not like I've got this working, herding dog that's like stuck in some apartment. It's like, good, we're at a farm. This is perfect. So we pull up. There's chickens all over the road. It's great. Just very, very amazing. Beautiful. Banjo. It's so funny. I can see it now looking back. He's a very timid, shy, scared, reactive dog. And he was hiding under the trampoline and just sort of looking out at us. So we spent a couple hours there, or an hour and a half maybe. I'll link it in the description. But I got I took some video footage while I was there with my GoPro. Unfortunately, it wasn't one of these cameras. I didn't have one of these cameras at the time. Just had the GoPro. But I got some footage of like the farm and just sort of So Bailey, we brought Bailey. Bailey got to see her dad, which was cool. Unfortunately, her mother passed away, so she didn't get to see mom. But seeing her with dad, it's just like, oh my God, you are your dad. Like, it was just real cute. The way they acted, like they said hi to each other and just kind of like ignored each other and just laid down and stared at me. Like they just acted the same. and we got to meet both of Banjo's mom and dad.
Yeah.
Which they were both red and white. And the whole litter was tricolored except Banjo. He was the only black and white. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I want that one. Like, that's, I don't know. Again, I couldn't meet him, so it's like, well, I'll just pick that one, I guess. So we got to meet a whole host of the dogs. I got to see, like, the environment they're in. They have children. The children are with the puppies. So I was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 p.m. we left there. Stopped at Sam's aunt's house in New Jersey with a cute little baby puppy, little Banjo. And he got to meet his cousin Juno. And then we ate dinner there. And then we drove home. And I think we got home at like 2 in the morning. So from like 5 a.m. to like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
It was pretty much a whole day of like literally just
driving.
And it was a Friday we left. I remember specifically. She took work off. I wasn't working at the time. Yeah, I was doing doggy daycare. I wasn't at BU at the time. And we got home. It's like 3 in the morning. We stopped at like Burger King. And I passed out on the couch with Banjo in my arms. And he literally sleeps in my arms every night ever since. It's the cutest thing. But the next morning, it's just like, you know, I'm up at 6 a.m. just like, oh my, I got up. Like, you know, sleep wasn't happening. It was like Christmas all over again as a kid. So it was just like one of the best days. I don't know. I just love it. So it was good. No, I guess it was very reassuring going there, checking it out, knowing that, okay, Bailey came from a great place and Banjo came from a great place. I supported somebody who loves their dogs as much as I do.
Yep.
You know, I don't want to support somebody who is just trying to make a quick buck. So that was sort of my experience going with a breeder, I guess. It was fun. Mm-hmm. I loved it, and I would totally and probably will totally buy puppies in the future from them.
Yeah. Again.
The only other experience I have, so just talking about like rescuing Shirley, miniature dachshund. She was 11 when we rescued her. She came from, so she's a female. You can tell she had puppies, and they guessed that she was bred starting at like age 1 and just sort of just bred like constantly. She lived in a cage. She couldn't walk when we took her. She just didn't have muscles she just literally sat in a cage for I think for like 11 years straight.
Yeah.
It was a house. Oh god, I'm gonna have to find the news article. It was a house in like Andover, had like 72 dachshunds or some like just an absolute ridiculous situation. It's like, how do you get to the point where you have like, how do the neighbors like, I can't wrap my head around that.
I can't either. I don't know how you can live like that alone.
Yeah, so she was like one of like 72. The best part of that story, though, is that we eventually got her like hiking Blue Hills and conditioned, and like she's still alive. I think she's like 17 now. We rescued her on my birthday. But you can just, it's so sad because she just wants to be in her crate. My parents have a crate. They leave the door open, and she just at the house is just in the crate like 24/7.
Yeah,
she'll come out
where she's most comfortable.
Yeah, she'll come out, pee, and do her business, and just go right back because she just knows.
Yeah, it's
just hard. So like, don't support that.
No.
That's what you're supporting if you support that.
I think that's a good point to start talking about bad breeders. So bad breeders typically have, lack of knowledge of their breed, so they can't really tell you, about the breed, the history of the breed, and then why they're even breeding usually. They're either ignorance of genetic defects or in just denial. They refuse to see, that bulldog has cherry eyes, so let me keep breeding 2 cherry-eyed bulldogs that have breathing issues together. Or they know that their dog has a heart murmur and they're still breeding that because it's going to be passed down, but they refuse to accept it type of situation.
I want to pause you for a sec.
Okay.
If they know that the dog has a heart murmur and they continue to breed it, that's bad.
Bad.
What if they don't know? Is that bad because that means they're not testing?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I mean, it's not
Just trying to
even going to your regular vet, they can hear heart murmurs.
Okay.
Obviously, the echocardiogram is,
so not
gold
knowing,
standard.
Not knowing is just as bad as ignoring.
Exactly. I mean, they should know because they should be taking their dogs to the vet.
Yeah.
And getting just
not,
regular.
Not if you've got 72 of them.
I know. And that's, again, red flag. There's no involvement in dog sports, conformation. They're not, the dog's just sitting at home type of thing, bad breeder. Not letting you observe the litter, so no picture updates, no videos of mom in the litter or their location. It's very secretive. That's not awesome.
Yeah, I know somebody, sorry to interrupt you. I know somebody who, oh God, I don't know who, and I don't want to put them on blast. That's not the point. But when they were getting their puppy, I guess it was pulled up. They came out with it. We didn't meet the parents. They just gave us the puppy and we drove off. It's just
not typically
what?
Good. Yeah. A little sketchy
I'm
there.
sorry, what?
Also no documentation, so no lineage, showing the lineage for the breed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have sorry I keep interrupting you.
It's okay.
I've got a whole folder, pamphlet.
Oh yeah, and it has the
Bailey and Banjo. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Heritage. So if they don't have that, that's a red flag. And then they don't seem to understand the importance of socialization with people, dogs within their households. Just getting them to experience things because good breeders will give them toys to experience, so different textures, just giving them a whole bunch of the experiences to broaden their horizons and make them less fearful type of situation. Those are typically bad breeders, as well as puppy mills. So sold through pet stores, consumer websites, on the internet and the classifieds ads, Craigslist, Facebook.
I just want to mention one anecdotal example, though, of two Craigslist dogs, I think, that happen to be absolutely phenomenal. Not necessarily in health. I've got no idea, but
if it's not by the breeder, but by the owner, because owners will put their
well-bred
dogs.
That's true. Yeah.
On websites like that. It's typically when you see breeders doing that.
Yeah, my friend Sue, one of our big fans, you met.
Yeah.
I think her husky Boris, he's awesome. Super cool dog. But I think she just was like, I need a dog. I'm losing my mind. Somebody give me a dog. And she posted it and she just somebody dropped her off a dog.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but it worked out in her favor. So super anecdotal. Sometimes it does.
Like I said, it's mainly breeders. If you see do that, that's a red flag.
Yeah. Why? And this is me just sort of playing devil's advocate, giving it a little pushback. Why should I care about all those red flags? I know the breed standard, but why should I care about the breed standard?
The health of your dog, pretty much.
Yeah.
You want a sound dog, so something that's not gonna be mentally unstable.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's not gonna be aggressive or bite, be a potential risk for people and or kids and or other dogs. And then, like I said, health. Longevity of the dog. You want to live with that dog hopefully for the rest of its long life. You don't want to cut it short due to genetic defects, health concerns.
So it sounds like basically the reason I should care about all those red flags is because I want a dog that is mentally and physically
sound.
Well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Just again, because I know a lot. Talking about a lot of it can sometimes come off so conceited and
And there's nothing against those dogs that are in shelters, they're in the shelters typically for a reason, or they're dumped, or they're, people can't handle them because they're getting things that they're just buying from a puppy mill or a backyard breeder because it's a cool breed. That husky that needs to run 7 to 10 miles a day, destroying your house because you work 9 to 10 hours a day and it doesn't get a walk.
Hey, I have
or gets a mile walk.
I have one of those. His name's Odin.
And he's a good boy though. Because he gets his exercise when he does get his exercise.
Yeah. I started taking him Monday through Friday because I was just like, let me just take him Monday through Friday. When I don't watch him, he was luckily not super. He was respectfully destructive. He would destroy a cardboard box, but not the couch.
And then for puppy mills and backyard breeders, you typically see them have multiple different breeds. So usually multiple small breeds or multiple large breeds or a mix of both. And they're all selling them. They all have puppies all year round. Good breeders won't have puppies all year round. Typically, there's a wait.
Like a wait, yeah.
Yep.
That's
and
one thing I had
they
to
have
do.
wait
Couple
lists,
months too. It wasn't
even
like
years. Good breeders will have years. Some won't even keep wait lists because there's so many people in demand for their dogs, and they're not going to just hold out because there are gaslighting people who are like, I want this puppy, talks for days, weeks, and then doesn't do anything.
Ghost them.
Yeah. The breeder will be out of state and won't give you an interstate health certificate, meaning it won't, take the dog to the vet to get a health certificate. That should be a red flag. Interstate health certificate. So, as long as they go to the vet and have vet records, they can usually get an interstate health certificate.
Talk about the puppy.
Yes, for bad breeders. Bad breeders won't give you one of those or provide medical records to show that they're healthy for travel. Gotcha. And then they won't screen you for if a dog is a good fit, because not everyone is a good fit for a dog. Dogs are a luxury. They're not something that we deserve. And I think that's like a big thing. And if they just let you be like, this puppy's 2 weeks old, let me buy it, that's typically a bad breeder, puppy mill, backyard breeder. And then once it's of age, it goes to you. But if you don't let the puppy develop it to see its personality, see if it fits your lifestyle, it's typically a backyard breeder or puppy mill. And pretty much just moving them as quick as possible to get more room in for more dogs is typically a bad breeder. I think that's it for my...
Do you think there are more good breeders versus bad breeders? Or do you think it's the
sadly,
other way around?
I think it's the other way around. A lot of bad breeders will also have designer breeds, so doodles. They're not, a standard breed. Everyone loves them. And I see the appeal.
I absolutely love them, but the truth is the truth. I absolutely love doodles.
I see the appeal in them.
But I recognize the fact that you don't have the lineage.
Exactly.
You don't have
the health testing.
The health testing that goes through that lineage.
I know. You would pretty much have to do the health testing per breed for both. So you'd have to do double the health testing.
So there's no mixed breed, right, that is recognized as a...
No, I mean, they develop slowly and through a lot of work.
Oh, through a lot of selective breeding, I bet.
Yes, a lot of selective breeding.
So what goes into, maybe you could just define that. And
a good example is like a Shiloh Shepherd. So it's like a mixed breed of, shepherds and huskies, but it's been bred to the point where they are like a breed itself and is finally slowly getting recognized. They're not 100% recognized, I believe. I think there's just like a small club. I think there's only like 39 breeding dogs for that specific breed. But again, doodles, there's no standard for them because they come in all different sizes, in different temperaments, different, one may get more golden than poodle and one may get more doodle than golden. So there's no way to standardize doodles, sadly.
It's sort of a spectrum.
It's a spectrum. And, that's what makes it hard to do any, confirmation or testing or, there's no standard for them. There's no way to preserve them because they're a mutt.
They're kind of...
Your doodle is a mutt.
It's all making sense.
Yes. Your teacup Chowini is a mutt.
And mutts are okay in the sense of, like, I'm not, I'm sure you have a mutt, right? Isn't Jetta a mutt?
Yes, she is. And I love her to death.
Yeah. Like, if you rescue a dog that came from
again, I rescued her. I didn't purchase her.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the huge difference is you saved her. You didn't look at her as an object
to purchase.
Yeah, that was like...
That's designer/hybrid that's going to be worth, I don't know, like the $1 million Frenchie, fluffy Frenchie.
Can't get over that.
And I think I sent you the chart maybe of just like the Frenchie breeds and colors. There's only 4 standard colors for Frenchies. I think beyond that, it's designer/not standard. And they're charging like $20,000 for like a Isabella. I don't even know what color that is. Like, what color is an Isabella?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, it blows my mind because everyone, you go on Instagram and you're like scrolling through the explore page and you'll see the big beefy exotic bullies.
Yeah, those I
that
see
look like
a
frogs.
Lot of. Yeah, they have like short legs, but they look like almost the Hulk. They're
exactly
bow-legged.
It's not healthy? No, that's not healthy. Those are backyard breeders. Like, there's standards for bullies. Like,
interesting.
There are standards for bullies, and there is an American Bully Association that has their own, standard, but even those are not considered in that.
Real quick, I know pit bulls isn't exactly in this discussion. There's 2 breeds that are is pit bull just sort of a shorthand name for 2 different staffies and
so there's American Staffordshire Terrier. There is the American Pit Bull Terrier, and then there's like variations.
Okay.
So American Bulldog, I think, or it gets very complicated very quick with bullies, and they are healthy dogs if they are to those standards. So that, like I said, Staffordshire Terrier comes in standard and miniature, and then American Pit Bull Terrier, I believe, is a breed. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But I believe they have their own breed.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of breeds. There's like 192 or something.
Too many.
Yeah, it's hard to like.
I think there's thousands.
Yeah, I thought that like working with dogs, I'd learn them all, but it's so there's too many.
You just see a new dog every time you go to like a dog show. I'm like, what is that? Let me go, and then I go ask and I learn about it.
When I met you, I was like, a what? A borzoi? What the
I know.
What?
And I had to simple it down and be like, I have to say wolfhound, and then I go Russian wolfhound, and then once they get that, I'm like, it's also commonly known as a borzoi. I get long-haired greyhound, Italian wolfhound, like a Irish wolfhound.
Like an Italian greyhoundy type. Yeah.
I mean, they are Russian wolfhounds, so I think they even call them Russian greyhounds out of the country too, but in the U.S. we call them Russian wolfhounds or borzois. And I think from there we can pop over to good rescues.
Yeah, real quick, I have a few more questions about just sort of breeding.
I'll try to answer that.
Yeah, specifically with females.
If it's before or it's her first heat, you're a bad breeder.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Younger than 18 months, you're a bad breeder.
Yeah, Shirley, like I mentioned, Doxie, I think they said like at 1 year she was just pumping them out since then, and it's just like 11 years in a cage of just pumping babies out.
Yeah,
like what a. It
shouldn't be the first heat cycle, and it should not be.
Mind you, she was
the first year.
Not only was okay. Let me. If you get grossed out, go ahead and skip ahead a little bit, but.
Nothing much grosses me out.
Not only was poor dachshund little baby Shirley living in a cage. She was in a cage for 11 years. all the while pumping out babies, all the while living on top of another dog, but under other dogs because the crates are stacked. They're peeing and pooping on her. Like,
And vice versa.
it's a disgusting environment.
Yeah.
And, just, sorry, I just have to mention that because it's just like, it is really bad.
It is.
Some of those puppy mills.
And that type of environment itself can cause health issues that can be permanent.
Yeah.
Like the ammonia buildup is probably horrible, and that can cause blindness. Like,
yeah, just all that toxins that they're just literally living. Like, can you imagine living it? Ugh.
no.
So she was bred real early on and just pumping them out. I want to say, talking to, again, Plum Hollow Border Collies, I want to say, like, he mentioned between 2 to 6 or 2 to 8, somewhere in that range is where he'll, like, breed his females. So when is it safe to start breeding a female? When should you stop and retire a female? Is there a different timeline for males?
So females, I typically say anything after 18 months is a good time after doing all the proper testing and, if you're doing, the proper stuff, titling your dog.
Is that going to be a second heat after?
It could be a second or third. It depends on the breed. Some breeds go once a year, some go 6 months. So it depends on the dog. But typically, I personally don't like seeing dogs bred before the age of 2, just because they're young and, they're not going to mainly show health issues that young. Should hopefully
so that'll
show.
go for the males as well. Then you wouldn't want a 2-year-old male partnering with like a 6-year-old female.
No, unless he's passed all his testing and has titles. Then you can say maybe. Some people will collect semen and freeze it. And
hey, we do that too as people. So, this is people doing it again.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not dogs freezing it. Never mind. I gotta stop drinking.
So people will do that and hold on to it and see how the dog progresses, and then from there use it too.
It's wild to just.
Typically for females, I don't like them seeing bred after the age of 6 to 8. Typically, it depends on the breed again. Some breeds mature faster and some breeds mature slower. And then
I assume there's a danger to breeding after that point to the female, maybe?
Yeah, it just more complications, harder births, they're older, not as much energy or
might not be able to sort of
yeah
keep the puppies,
you start seeing a lot of health issues,
Okay.
complications. The risk of complications go up as they get older.
That makes sense.
May need a C-section to worrying about that type of stuff. For males, they can pretty much breed almost their whole life.
As long as they're healthy, pretty much.
As long as they're healthy. If you start seeing, health issues further down the line, you may want to take that male out of breeding and, pay attention to those lines that you've already bred and alert the people who want to continue your lines too. So those are...
Oh, yeah, that is something sort of I didn't mention, actually. Yeah, so you mentioned it earlier, and it's something that, again, I checked off on my checklist of when I bought Banjo and Bailey, I had 2 options. So I could get them, I forget the terminology. I could pay a cheaper price, which I did, not because it was cheaper, but because I didn't plan on breeding them. Mm-hmm. So it was like $1,500. Don't breed them. Mm-hmm. Was it not a full registration? Was it half registration?
There's full registration, and I think just registration for contracts.
So I think this is just contract registration that I did. And for more money, it's you can, get a fully registered dog that
and you get breeding rights.
Yeah. So that was something to consider and to talk about. But
And that's also something you should talk to a breeder about. You shouldn't just buy a dog and then plan to breed it without talking to the breeder, because that's their lineage.
Yep.
And some breeders are not okay with that.
Yeah. So for me, it was a quick, like, nope, don't plan on breeding.
Yep.
I'm just, for me, I just want to sort of get me a puppy and enjoy it.
Good breeders will have like a spay neuter contract too, depending on what they believe. Some breeders are like, don't spay and neuter until the age of 2, and that's for large breeds. That's okay because they're still developing. They're slower to develop. Small breeds, they say age of 1. Some say as long as you're conscientious of keeping them intact and their potential health risks, they're okay with you keeping them intact as long as you don't breed. But if you keep them intact, you gotta keep in mind of those health risks can be life or death for the female typically, and then a lot of at-risk stuff for the male. So if you don't plan on breeding, I would spay neuter, depending on the breed at the appropriate age.
Yeah, you mentioned last time some of the, I think like mammary cancer.
Yep. Mammary cancer, and then pyometra is a big one. That's
For
life
the
or death.
females.
Yep.
Yeah. Males, what is their?
Prostate cancer and large testicle cancer, stuff like that.
How many litters can you expect to have at a reasonable, respectful level where you're not overbreeding the dog?
So I personally believe in giving the female like a year off, and in that year off, you should be doing stuff with, your female, trying to better, again, the breed. I don't personally like back-to-back breeding because it doesn't give the dog time to recover. There is some signs that it could be healthier that way. It's just, I think it's also a matter of opinion of certain vets. Every vet will tell you something different because it's a subjective matter of opinion and in research on their own. So it just really depends. I personally am against back-to-back breedings.
That makes sense. And I imagine there's got to be... So when we first got Shirley, she would... I don't know if this is actually what happened, but I associate in my head, she had all these stuffed toys, and I swear she thought they were her baby. She would take all of these toys to her bed.
Yep.
And she would snuggle them and protect these tiny little T-Rex, little plush, squeaky dog toys,
That's the thing. They can
is
go
there
through
psychological
false pregnancies where they think, or if they've been breeding, and they feel the extra hormones, it can turn them very maternal.
Okay.
Maternal aggression is a big thing too. If the dog develops aggression after the puppies are born, that's a dog you don't want to breed because that can be passed down to other dogs.
Is that aggression towards people?
People, other dogs,
Just like overstimulated,
so
overwhelmed?
It's hard. They pretty much just are protective. So they become overprotective, and some of them don't snap out of it after that. So it just really depends, on the dog itself.
Oh, yeah. That's easy to understand, I feel, from a human level. I don't have any children, but if I had a children and you took my child away, I would be extremely furious. I can relate, I think, to that. Okay. If you have one last question, and then we can hop over to the rescues. Let's say that I had the full registration for Bailey, and she's turning 4 on her next birthday. Let's say I bred her. She has her first litter. Is she at, other than the fact that she's not fixed, so she might get the mammary cancer and what is the other
Pyometra.
one? Pyometra.
Yes.
Other than that, from not being fixed, is there any potential medical issues just from the fact that she had a litter, or
not that she had a litter, but that she's having a litter? She may need a C-section if she's not able to pass them. They can get I can't remember the word off the top. It starts with a D off the top of my head, where the puppies get stuck. You can get puppies that die and mummify inside there and cause sepsis. So there's a lot of stuff you got to worry about for the female, and that's why good breeders will have a good amount of money set aside for in case of emergency stuff, and be willing to spay that female if she needs to, is not able to, continue breeding. Because some, breeds have issues where they pretty much ruin their ovaries and their reproductive tract because of puppies.
That seems just applying human level thinking to that prospect. It's like, that sounds like a really,
it's scary. It's meant to scare you, but at the same time, responsible people know what they're prepared for.
6 puppies seems like an overwhelming experience for a female dog. That's like, oof. Wow.
My dad used to breed his German Shepherds, and her first litter, she only had 2 puppies. One very large puppy, and I always used to tease him. I'm like, she absorbed the other ones. She ate the other ones, and one very small one. And then the second litter, she had 10 puppies, so I can't even imagine that. I think there was 1 stillborn, so there was 11 total and 10 live. And that's a lot on a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see why.
After that, she got spayed, so.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah.
And that changes their
Males
fur.
have a much easier job. They
do, exactly. Same in the human life, too.
I know. All right. So I guess, we can hop into...
Good rescues.
So I've never participated in rescuing a dog or in fostering a dog. So I have absolutely nothing to add to this conversation, other than I asked my friend Kayla, who fosters for, oh God, I feel so bad not knowing it. Paws New England? Does that ring a bell? Something
Maybe.
like that, yeah. Anyway, she mentioned, and I'm just curious if you, if you agree, which I probably imagine you would. So Kayla mentioned to look for rescues that spay and neuter before adopting out, as long as they're of age. If not, I guess they send out a contract for puppies and they follow up on it to make sure that they get that done. Mm-hmm. And a rescue that is willing to take back a return dog for anything other than a serious biting incident. Mm-hmm. Sort of shows that they're fully committed to the dogs. Is that something you agree with, disagree with?
But yeah, I agree with that. Mainly, for good rescues, you want to see a group that is knowledgeable of their dogs, of every specific dog that you ask about. They vet you for, if you're a good fit for that dog, as well as if that dog is a good fit for you. They also do as much vetting as possible for that dog, for it to be adopted out, because obviously a good rescue does not want to send an unhealthy dog to a family and then have that pet be returned because they can't handle the medical conditions. Or,
sorry, just to add to that, or if it's a dog that they say, needs to be in a pet or house with no other pets, mm-hmm. I imagine some people try to sneak that through, like, oh, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
and lie, and then it's like, well, now what do you do if
when that
you can't,
you
know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's like a good thing is the rescue group should have full transparency on that dog. If they have a history, if that dog can't be around cats, can't be around children, can't be around other dogs, if it, is fearful of men, fearful of women,
So not trying to just push a dog off onto just anyone,
because they
but
don't
trying
want to see
find
that dog
fit.
back, or they don't want to see that dog in a shelter. Mm-hmm. And then obviously you want to be able to vibe with that rescue group, because if you don't get good feelings from that rescue group, it's probably not a good rescue group. Mm-hmm.
Like I had actually, so talking about Kayla again, mm-hmm. she just adopted her 3rd dog. She's got 3 dogs, and then she fosters dogs. She fosters a lot of dogs. She does a good job. So when she was getting this 3rd dog, She used me as a reference, and yeah, I got a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably like a 45-minute conversation.
Yeah, because they want to make
You
sure
know,
it's
it
going
wasn't
to a good
like
home.
hey, is Kayla good? Yep. All right, thanks. It was
And
like
they should be calling her vet for references too, because typical really good rescues will check to make sure that the dog's up to date on flea, tick, and heartworm prevention, up to date on a heartworm test, have the bare minimum core vaccines being rabies, distemper, and bordetella.
we need that for. Sorry, this has not. We need that for literal people and children.
I know.
Hey, are you taking care of your children? Okay, you are. You can have more children.
Exactly.
Like, oh, that would solve so many problems in this world.
So many. And then they should be doing home checks too, either via Zoom, because that's been happening now and that's been working out, or via person. Another good reason for a rescue. Good rescue. There we go. Words. Drinking too much wine now.
So do they? Sorry, just to back you up a bit. So they'll come to your house, just make sure it's like sanitary, safe.
Safe, exactly.
You know, you don't
Some
have
rescues
72
require,
dachshunds.
A fence, or make sure you don't have any pets that you're lying about.
Yeah.
Make sure that other people in the house want this dog, because that can cause issues, and you don't want a homeless person and a homeless dog, as well as like landlord situations. They'll check with landlords. That's a big one. And then they should also be making sure that I lost my train of thought here. I had something and then you distracted me.
That's okay. Sorry.
Let me just read through here.
Take your time. I've got plenty of questions. So
meeting the dog. You should meet the dog before it comes home, and if you have any other animals, that dog should meet those animals to make sure it's a good fit. A lot I've personally noticed of rescues will do like a foster adopt. So foster the dog to see if it's a good fit. If it's not, you still foster it until it gets adopted. Or you meet the dog and you bring your dogs, or have the dog come to your home and see how everyone reacts type of situation. But you should always meet the dog before adopting it.
Yeah, and I think it is absolutely critical. I've never rescued a dog outside of wiener dogs. So like they're easy. They're easy to take care of compared to a border collie or other dogs. So I haven't rescued like a high maintenance dog is what I would say. So I would absolutely, just based on like my experience with dogs, I think it's absolutely critical that you would meet a dog you're rescuing, especially if it's not a puppy.
And it's a good idea to ask the foster questions as well, because the foster may have a different experience with this dog than the rescue. Yeah. The rescue gets this dog and they get told what they're told, and they do some tests with it to see if it's good with people, other dogs, other cats. And then it goes to the foster home, where that's where it starts to, settle in.
Right. And
starts to, feel more comfortable in itself. So that's a good person to ask all your questions. If you have any concerns, they can really tell you, if it's going to be a good fit or not. And a lot of times the rescues will leave the foster to make the final decision. The fosters will say, this application's approved. Let me know how the meet and greet goes. And if the meet and greet goes well, the foster will tell the rescue and they'll set everything up for the actual adoption. And if it doesn't go well, the foster will say, I don't think they're a good fit. Maybe they can try another dog.
Yeah, and that's very important, because you don't want to get a dog that doesn't match your personality
or lifestyle.
Yeah, so I think it's so critical to meet a rescue, because like you just sort of mentioned, you don't
know its history.
Know what you're getting. Yeah, like you can roughly gauge, but you don't really know, and
exactly
that's gonna be something that
it's a flip of a coin.
It's gonna take months.
Yeah,
I mean it might take, and some dogs might take a year.
Exactly. The first couple weeks, it's so brand new. It's getting comfortable. It's learning your routine. Couple months, it's getting more comfortable with itself, and even up to a year, that dog is finally settling and is not afraid that it's just gonna be tossed aside to a new home or anything, because that dog's probably been through multiple different places to get to the place it is now.
And I've heard that the kennel, like again, not working in that or being in that environment, I heard it can be so stressful. Like dogs can get severe. If it comes from
a shelter, it can be pretty scary for that dog. Obviously, the one rescue I work with, Pause for Survival, there we go, is where I've gotten all my fosters from, and Jetta as well, which is my rescue. She's my first dog. She's an angel baby. But you've seen her at dog parts. She's a little bit more timid. She's stranger danger type of dog, and I'm totally fine with that. I don't need my dogs going up to strangers who could potentially kidnap them, hurt them. But that is also a fear. If she ever, bolted, she never has given me any inclination. But if she did, no one's going to be able to touch her, type of situation.
Yeah, whereas with a puppy, you don't need to meet them. Like, it's good, but I don't think it's a necessity. Like, if you're getting a 10-week-old puppy versus a 4-year-old rescue, I think it's 100% critical you
meet the dog,
meet that rescue. But if you meet the puppy, or like Bailey, I didn't meet Bailey till she was like 16 weeks old, I think. She was a bit older.
And that's totally fine.
And it was fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't have a life that she's trying to move on from. Yeah. Like, everything's new and fresh and good stimuli. It's not an overwhelming sense of stimulus that's just sending her into this. I
think I've had 8 fosters so far. I've had, I think a year after I got Jetta, I got my first foster. 2 fosters. I did 2, and I was crazy.
At the same time?
Yep, I did like a Shar-Pei mix.
Are those the like squishy rolly dogs?
Yeah,
Kind of
he has a big like nose and stuff. He was okay. He was already like pre-adopted. Like, his application was already approved, and they did the meet and greet the following. He had to stay with me for 48 hours as like a quarantine period, and then he got to meet the potential family, and it worked out, and then he went home the following day. The other one I had was Sav, Ceviche. I called him Sav. He was a really, really good dog, just so high energy, though. Like, so high energy that I don't think even you could handle him. Like, he needed a farm that he could just be running 24/7.
Yeah.
He was like a Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever / duck tolling retriever mix, and I loved him. Everyone called him Meryl Streep because he looked like Meryl Streep, I guess. So, beautiful dog, but just energy level through the roof. Like, I was doing 15 miles a day with him, and I was so drained by the time I had him for a long time because he got attacked by a poodle at the dog park, sadly. And from there, he developed, fear aggression. So it took him longer to find a home. And that could have been something, too, that he had all along, but that attack may have triggered it. I don't know, because I didn't have him that long before he was attacked. And he wasn't, like, wounded or anything, but that dog pummeled him to the ground.
Poor baby.
Yeah, it's the same one that tries to attack Shiloh every time I go, so.
Oh, interesting. Same poodle?
Yeah, same poodle, like a standard black poodle. Nothing against poodles. I like poodles. Standard poodles, I like them.
Yeah.
But that one has something out
for me. What was his name? Luigi?
Luigi, maybe?
No, the dog you fostered?
Ceviche.
I love that. I wonder, so he sounds like he reminds me of my border collies. And sorry, slight tangent off of the rescues. Okay. With Bailey and Banjo, 15 miles, right? Say we went hiking 15 miles. It's very much like, all right, let's do it again. And I'm like, oh, it's very much mental.
He was ready to go for another 15, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. Like, I had him on a bike. I was on my bike.
Yeah, it's very much.
And he was running that whole time.
With them, yeah, that's getting their mental, that brain fried is
It's the key.
Yeah.
A tired dog is a happy dog.
Tough, yeah.
A tired dog is a happy dog.
And that's something I try to incorporate with my daycare is it's not necessarily how much time I spend at the dog park running around, because I also try to make sure that they don't like over exercise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Olympic athletes, they're not out there running every day. They take rest days.
Exactly.
So I try to keep in mind not to overrun them, and also so the dog park does get them mentally tired, all the smells, the sights and whatnot, but doing things at the house, switching up like environments. Like sometimes I go to my parents' house. Especially I notice when the packs here at my house after the dog park, they're snuggly and very social. Even some of the dogs that like don't play with each other will like snuggle together.
Mm-hmm.
And like I can just tell like they're mentally just like wiped out. And that's like always been like my key, is to just make sure the mental aspect is just like
yeah. And I think you met my last foster Valley. Little Valley.
Yeah, little baby.
Oh yeah, she kept up with Shiloh just great. She was like they actually just did a DNA test on her and she came back. Schnauzer, Husky, Chihuahua Pug.
Okay.
Which was
I can see the Chihuahua.
Yeah, and she's only like
Husky, no.
13 pounds. Keep
maybe
that in mind.
Maybe the speed's where the Husky comes from.
Yeah, she found a really good home and it was a good fit. Do
you miss any of the dogs that you've?
So
are there any that like specifically you?
The one I got before Shiloh, he was a little Chihuahua, and I personally am not a big fan of Chihuahuas because the stereotype yappy little shitbags, spoiled, don't touch the ground ever, they're carried everywhere.
I love this woman Anya at the dog park. She's always fostering Chihuahuas, and she's got 3. And today, all 3 were in 3 different directions, trembling. It's like fucking Chihuahuas.
His name was Ozzy. Still is Ozzy. She kept his name, which is really cool. Ozzy the Ham on Instagram. He was abused. Someone broke his bottom jaw. So he only had half of his bottom jaw, so his tongue stuck out. And it actually kind of made him cuter, no offense. Yeah. It
was broken, so then they had to remove it?
Yeah, because it wasn't fixable. It was an old injury, and he couldn't eat, and it was painful.
From the joint?
So not the joint, actual jaw bone.
But like from the joint down, or?
So further down the face. He was sick.
So did he have half a?
So he had half a jaw. So he had like a nub of a jaw bottom.
Oh my god! So someone like no chin base, like
yeah, he didn't have a chin. Someone kicked him and broke his jaw.
Wow.
Yeah. And you see the dark stuff when you foster. You start to see, the actual.
How does a dog like that eat?
So he actually ate fine.
The tongue was fine.
He ate fine. He actually preferred hard food. He didn't like the soft food. And he was a ballsy little dog. I really liked him. He kept up with my grandmother's German Shepherd and Jetta, who I ran about 5 miles a day. And he was perfect. I mean, when he got cold, he'd come over and snuggle, and I'd carry him. And I was like, wow, I'm one of these Chihuahua people now. And I'm like, if this meet and greet doesn't go well, I told the president of the rescue that I was going to keep him. And she was fine with that, but he met the most perfect family. Yeah. And I couldn't even be mad about it, but I definitely miss him 110%. I would have kept him. I said if I kept him, I may have not even gotten Shiloh. Like, it was that type of situation. But I probably would have gotten Shiloh. What am I saying? What am I saying?
All right. Why would someone kick a dog in the face and to the point where you break its jaw? I know Chihuahuas are fragile.
If I had an answer for that, they'd probably, figure out why people abuse dogs on the daily. Yeah. And,
that's rough.
It's really sad. A lot of those, dogs come from, abuse, neglect situations. And, I said this last time, it's only an excuse for the dog's behavior to be abuse, neglect for so long before you're at a point where you're supposed to try to be bettering this dog and trying to improve its life. So, the first couple times, yes, you can use it was abused or neglected as an excuse. But after that, you should be really working with a behaviorist or a trainer to try to better this dog's life, because that dog's living obviously not its best life.
Yeah, Lucas, the humpy dog, the one that was humping Crumb,
Yep.
and who went missing not too long ago. He's right up there on the wall. He very much fit that glove. Like, he was abused, left to die, beat with a stick, blah, blah, blah. They don't use that as an excuse.
Exactly.
And Chris and Robin continuously are trying to work on him to better him. Like,
exactly.
an issue they had was, especially if it was a male, I think a male abused him. He does not like my dad. But when men come to their house, he goes nuts. And that's something, instead of being like, oh, well, he was abused, it's like, no, let's work on that. And they've gotten him to a point where he can calm down, he can relax, he can let the male come in. And it's like, that's exactly what you should be doing.
And a good rescue, if they know this dog has issues, should be able to help you find a behaviorist or a trainer or someone reputable to be able to help, you know, with that dog's certain situations, if that's a dog you want to continue with. Also a good idea to ask why the dog was surrendered or returned, if it was, or if it was a stray. You want to try to get as much as you can get out of it, you know, find out its history. I know harder said than done with, you know, strays and surrenders with no, you know, information background, but try to figure out why the dog was surrendered or returned. Other than that, there are breed-specific rescues that are good rescues that work with specific dog breeds. So there's a Doberman rescue. That's where a lot of my mom got her dogs, because she loves Dobermans. There's I think they're out of New Hampshire, maybe. They were really good rescue. I liked working with them. Well, I didn't personally work with them, but my mom did, and I grew up with that. So we always had Dobermans at the house. But if you're looking for a specific rescue and you don't want to necessarily purchase a dog, you can always go through a breed-specific rescue and get as much information as you can out of that dog. And if, you know, some certain breeds to fit your lifestyle too. Say you want a Border Collie, but you don't want to purchase a Border Collie because there's no reputable breeders around you and you don't want to travel, but there's a rescue. Make sure they're, you know, reputable, but there are breed-specific rescues.
Yeah, with that, I want to give you the flip side of that too.
Okay.
So, with certain dogs like Border Collies, I tried to go actually first through a rescue, and because I had no experience, I totally understand why.
A lot of them want you to have experience with that breed before.
Most of them didn't even email me back.
Yep.
So it was to the point where it's like I had to go to a breeder only because it was sort of like, all right,
stingy.
I totally get it because certain dogs require so much. So I totally understand that from like a breed specific standpoint.
Yeah, for my breed, there's so few Borzois in need of rescue that they have to like actually import dogs from out of the country.
Oh, really?
To, you know, get them into better situations, living situations.
So yeah, it can't go both ways.
I went with a breeder.
Yeah. Because
I always thought maybe I'll get one from a Rescue and, you know, but you try to find a Borzoi in a Rescue. They're a rare breed to begin with, so to find one in a Rescue is very hard because most of the dogs that are, you know, need to be rehomed are taken back by the breeder. Again, another reason why good breeders do not contribute to shelter populations or take homes away from shelter dogs, because someone who's going to get a Borzoi is not going to find one in a rescue situation. Very rarely.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very rarely.
Yeah, there weren't many like Border Collies when I was looking. But again, like that goes to like I was so determined to get a Border Collie that it's like the adopt, don't shop mentality wasn't there. Now, personally, I don't have any room at the fucking table for the adopt, don't shop thing, because
I hear it all the time, and I'm like, I do my due diligence. I have an adopt a dog, I foster, and I have my dogs that I've bought.
Yeah. Like if you could listen to me talk about the Plum Hollow Border Collie experience and then say like, I can't believe you would support something like that. It's
Yeah.
just like, you're delusional. I can't help you.
Yeah.
But same for the other end. I imagine it exists.
It
Because
does.
there's always extremes of people who
They're
are like,
why would you get a mutt?
yeah. And it's
I'm
just like, I don't have time for that.
No.
Like if you didn't buy it as a puppy necessarily, like if you rescue it, you know, a dog, you're giving it a better life. It's just like, I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly. If you're giving
too toxic.
a dog a better life either way, it
Right.
shouldn't be, you know. So we're gonna hop over to kill shelters. Kill shelters.
Yeah,
I know.
that's
So
down south, right? Mostly.
so
I imagine
they're
there's
everywhere.
some up
It's
here.
anywhere municipal government funded shelters. Almost everywhere has them. And they're not bad. I support kill shelters. They're labeled as kill shelters because they have the option to euthanize pets, where privately owned rescues will typically take pets that don't need to be euthanized.
Like a hot take right here.
It is.
I support kill shelters. Whoa.
And that's just like a derogatory term given to them. And it's not that they actually are kill shelters. Every single employee is working to either better that pet, get the healthcare it needs, or adopted. However, they can't say no to anybody because they're a municipal shelter. Private shelters can turn anyone away they want. They don't have to take surrenders. They can work on whatever pets they want. They can take pets from other shelters, even kill shelters. So they are not bad. They are not the enemy. So I think the main reason behind that is because, you know, they have the option to kill, or not kill, euthanize, humanely euthanize pets that have been there for the longest, have behavioral issues, medical issues that they are not able to, you know, find a home for. And they're making room for more pets that they have to take. Not necessarily that they can't turn away, they have to take those pets.
Yeah. Let me give you a little pushback just from an uneducated standpoint. Because I do see a lot of like Facebook posts where someone will post like a dog. Like I'm in a lot of like border collie groups, and it's very rare, but like one came through, was in Texas. Here's this dog, it's in a kill shelter. It's got like 24 hours until it's killed. Like, you know, and all these people come together.
I will say a lot of dogs will have more than 24 hours.
Okay.
It's until they have overflow is when they have to start putting the pets that have been there the longest to sleep, sadly.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that in while you still talk.
Yeah, so whenever I see those posts, I gotta admit I definitely get this sense of like, oh my God, like I need to rescue this dog. I don't have room. I don't have money.
Yeah.
But I need to. And then I click on like, let's say that shelters page, and I'm just like, oh God, scrolling through.
And there's a lot more there.
And some of them, and again, it's going to be so dependent on the place, but some of the posts I've seen come off a little like, ooh, like the way they've worded it, it's almost like
they make you feel guilty.
Yeah, like, or some of them made me feel like they don't care. Not that they enjoy it, but they don't necessarily care.
I think they have to come at it as like a blank neutral thing, because
just for their own mental health of dealing with.
I can't imagine having to put that many pets down a day. I'm personally against behavioral euthanasias. And
could you expand on that? What exactly do you mean by that?
Usually when a dog has a behavioral issue, so biting people, attacking people, showing aggressive signs, I believe that people don't go through all the steps to try to stop that. They just jump right to the euthanasia. So I believe, again, I'm against behavioral euthanasias unless all options are exhausted. So surrendering the dog, working with drugs and a behaviorist, working with a specialized behaviorist, trying your hardest for that dog before jumping right to euthanasia. But, I mean, that's just something I'm personally against. And I don't partake in any sort of way at my hospital or at the ER. It's just something I'm not comfortable to, sit in, because I know most of the time those people did not do that, those steps to try to better the dog.
Yeah, Kayla, the woman I mentioned earlier about like fostering, and I mentioned it, I think, in episode 2.
Yeah.
We're at such a low count now where we can actually recall like the episode. But I mentioned that she fostered a dog, Pitbull, Ingle. I met him. He was a good dog. I could tell he was a little on edge. So she's got a bait dog that had a miserable life, Kane. And Ingle was trying to start stuff with Kane. And I got to tell you, for a bait dog, he's not aggressive. He's very like non-confrontational.
That's why they're bait dogs.
Yeah. So the fact that he went, my 2 cents, without going super into detail on all the little things that led me to this mindset, my 2 cents was that Kane. So I went over for a quick photo shoot. She had 3 pitties that she was fostering. I'll send you the link to the it's super cute. And at the time, so she had the 3 babies. She had her dog Kane, who she just rescued, and she had Ingle, who she was fostering. And we went to get like a group photo. And I should have said something. Sorry if you're watching this, Kayla. I should have said something. She had Kane and Ingle on a leash, and I could kind of see a little bit of posturing from Ingle. And he kind of went after Kane. Kane defended himself. The only reason I mentioned that is, fast forward a few months, Ingle escaped his rescues. So she fostered him. He got rescued. He escaped. He attacked the dog, and I think he just got put down recently.
Yeah. And that's also when animal control gets involved.
Yeah.
And they sometimes make the decision for the people that the dog needs to be put down.
Okay.
It's not always the owner or the rescue's decision too.
Yeah.
So.
Do you personally think that was something that, like, just sort of just thinking about what you just said a couple minutes ago, how do you feel about something like so he broke out?
So if it was known that he was kind of, that type
like
of
on
behavior,
edge,
exactly,
kind of.
It should have been, addressed sooner rather than later, that potentially, prevent that. That's not always saying that it will happen. Some dogs are, set in that. And keep in mind, you said they were pit bulls, right?
Yeah.
They are bred genetically to fight.
Yep.
A lot of them have dog aggression. That is something genetic. They were bred because they were thrown in a pit and they were fighting, and the best fighters were bred. So they may be little pibbles and, fur moms that, want to support their breed. And I 100% understand that, but also keep in mind it is genetic for them to have potentially like, some sort of dog aggression in them.
It almost sounds like breeding gladiators, pretty much.
Exactly.
Like,
they're
just
bred
the
to fight.
brutest. Yeah.
And I mean, that's not every pit bull. Obviously, there's amazing dogs out there.
Yeah, like Kane. I tell you, like, because Kane and Ingle kind of went at it, and in the moment, I could see it about to happen. But like, the thing I know behind the scenes, so I like, if I didn't know anything, I'd look at it like, oh, well, Kane's a bait dog. He might have started with Ingle. But she's fostered, like, literally, like, 20 dogs in the past few years. The amount of dogs that have come in and out without issue with the bait dog, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, tells me that he is not, like, super aggressive or, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just certain dogs put off that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Dogs don't like, it's like, whoa, all right, and yeah, so do you think there was any hope for him?
There could have been. I think there could have been if there had been early intervention. And it's the same goes when people get German Shepherd puppies and they don't do any training, and then they become defensive and protective of their family, and then stranger, walks by their house and the dog gets out the door and bites them. A lot of people just kind of give up on the dog from there. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
gotta
crazy you
go
mentioned
training.
that. I totally forgot, but I know somebody who that happened in their puppy German Shepherd. They had to surrender.
yep, a lot of them will.
Puppy,
Yeah,
crazy.
it's crazy, and again, that's something I don't like to touch with a 10-foot pole because I personally think there's things that could be done beforehand before jumping right to euthanasia. Obviously, a lot of that costs a lot of money for specialists and trainers, and obviously not everyone can afford that, but trying to reach out to rescues that could help them, find someone to help them too as well. That's always an option.
So if I told you, if I were to say to you that not every dog can be helped and fixed, would you agree or disagree?
I would agree.
Okay.
Not every dog can be fixed. Once, they're set in their ways, it's very, very hard to fix that. We have a German Shepherd Akita mix, and I'm like, two worst breeds you could breed together, and you have a German Shepherd Akita mix. And he is super aggressive. Since his first appointment as a puppy, he showed signs of aggression. And, again, that's the two breeds mixed together. They got it because it's a cool, beefy-looking breed that's going to turn out to be cool-looking. He has to wear a basket. He literally looks like Hannibal Lecter.
No, those Frenchies and the little masks.
And we do have a Frenchie just like that, too. Horrible.
I'm going to have to put a picture of those in. With the little...
I'm sure most of the time those dogs are good dogs within their home, but the moment they step outside, it's game over,
Yeah. Do you feel like that's a lot of, in a rescue sense, it's so hard to tell, but if you get them from a puppy, do you feel that's a failure on the owner's part more than a
Yes.
genetic thing usually? Like
It's
lack of socialization,
hand in hand.
lack
It's
of...
hand in hand.
Yeah.
If the owner doesn't do their part and that dog's already prone to that, then it's failure on both ends. So
Yeah, I agree.
and that we'll just jump back to kill shelters because that's when a lot of people start, dropping them off and surrendering them to those municipal shelters who cannot say no, and that's eventually leading to overpopulation and overflow in their shelters that they have to making those decisions. The pets that cannot be adopted versus the long-term pets that have been there, or the pets that have medical conditions that cannot, be medically managed. They start to have to do that, and then they get the stigma that they're a kill shelter, and less people are adopting from them, and that's taking homes away from them for those potential animals to get homes.
Yeah, maybe there's
So it's like a backhanded
stigma
slap.
around kill shelters. Just sort of thinking it again from my lack of experience, like all this information, I'm going to listen to this like 4 times to pull it all in. But it seems like...
Because without this conversation, would you think about going to a kill shelter?
Right. Like when I hear that, what I think is almost like it's like this place where they're just dumping dogs
Cold,
off to
dark,
be killed.
Musty
Like
place.
not even to be
Yeah.
like rescued, just to
Exactly.
be like, here they are, these guys can't be helped, kill them.
Yeah.
But I guess, so that's not the reality.
It's not the reality. It's pets that are being dropped off, surrendered, strays, animal control drop-offs. And
Are there any in Massachusetts?
I believe so. I don't. There have to be because I think it's government funded. So I think every state has their own municipal shelter, which is technically a kill shelter. And I keep doing the quotations because I don't want to use the word kill shelter because they're not always they're trying their hardest here to get these animals adopted. And that's when you see the posts on Facebook where like this pet has 48 hours. Will you sponsor it or foster it or adopt it? And typically they do have lower adoption rates than privately owned rescues because they want to see these animals get adopted. Obviously, you're going to get vetted first. Obviously, you're going to, they're going to try to set this animal up for success. They're going to tell you it needs training. They may not be able to, tell you exactly what trainer to go to, but they're going to tell you this dog needs training, this dog needs medical care. A lot of them will actually, fund a lot of medical stuff for dogs too. Like a dog with a broken leg, they'll treat that dog with a broken leg, and while that dog's healing, try to, get that dog out there to be adopted.
Just thinking about, especially with kill shelters. I know using that term just feels so. Ugh.
Yeah.
Just thinking about volume. I can't imagine. Oh, excuse me. I can't imagine that you would know like how many are in shelters.
I don't want to know, honestly.
Yeah. But just thinking about, like, even just thinking about...
Because they can't say no. That's the thing, is they legally cannot say no to any cat, dog, bird, rabbit, any animal that is surrendered to them.
And just thinking real quick, and I know this number is extremely low, but just thinking about 10 dogs. Mm-hmm. Let's just say this shelter has 10 dogs. Just thinking of all what you just said, that's such a time-consuming process per individual animal, that what you sort of say, I feel like what you're saying can actually be truthful just based on like, look, these people do care. The amount of time and effort they have to put into one effing animal just to get it. You know what I mean? Like,
on top of the stigma that's already telling people not to go to kill shelters.
Right. Like, I can't imagine doing that 10, all right, we got 10 dogs, we got to do that for, let alone they probably have 50.
Keep in mind, a couple of those probably have really bad skin issues. You see a lot of them with like chronic allergies, like broken body parts, you know. They're not the prettiest
bills.
pets. Exactly. And they're not the prettiest pets. And that, I feel like that should be also mentioned for bad rescues, is that they only take, you know, the cute adoptable pets, and, you know, they don't actually try to put forward the effort for, you know, hospice, senior, medical, concerned animals. And then they only want the puppies. Again, a lot of bad rescues work with puppy mills. So
yeah, so where would the incentive be there? Obviously monetary.
Push the puppies out and get money.
Okay, so they would sort of, the puppy mill would supply the rescuer with
puppies,
some sort of
grow out
money.
Puppies that haven't, you know, been bought from, you know, the source.
Yeah, because if they've got 80 puppies,
it's probably a lot more.
I know that. They're just thinking about that's insane.
Yeah.
They got 80 puppies. Here's 60 of them for a good price or whatever. You know what I mean? Get rid of them for me.
Exactly.
Holy crap, that's insane.
It's
shame on you if you do that. Seriously, shame on you if you do that. That is disgusting.
Yep.
Disgusting.
And I think we can start talking about bad rescues. Now that we've talked about municipal shelters, not being one of them, but bad rescues, working with puppy mills, backyard breeders.
Real quick, there's got to definitely be good kill shelters and bad kill shelters, question mark?
I'm guessing maybe. I don't know from
I feel like anything and everything in the universe is on a spectrum. Yeah, it's like, there's some that suck, some that are great. Most are in the middle. Bell curve.
I think most are good because the people who are working there are trying so hard for these animals. They will even reach out to like other rescues, like privately owned rescues, to try to work with like certain pets too. I've seen that a lot. But I think there's a good and bad to anyone. You know?
Yeah. So don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, get to know them and figure it out for real.
Yeah, it's so easy. Sorry, and then we can get on to bad rescues, but it's so easy to say what a shame, you're an awful organization, but those are people who have feelings, who have to show up there every day and do that,
and they have to put down
gotta be
animals that they're trying so hard to, you know, rescue. And I think there's a lot of suicide rates in those type of situations.
I can't imagine meeting a dog that you know is so good and you just can't find it a home and you have to put it down. That would crush me. That would destroy me.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Not easy at all.
Yeah, so what should I look for when I rescue a dog? What should be the warning signs? What are some
for a bad rescue?
Yeah.
All right. So they ask you to commit to a dog without you actually ever meeting them or getting any history. That's obviously a bad sign.
They just want to get rid of it.
Yeah, they're pretty much trying to push it on you. They're like, you want this dog? You want it, you want it, you want it. Look how cute it is. Look how pretty it is. They don't provide you with medications or clear health records. They don't tell you why it was surrendered or where it came from, any history that they could have gotten. They don't do some type of interview.
Now, to be fair, though, real quick, I imagine sometimes that might be legit, where they don't have any idea.
If they don't, they should be straightforward and be like, this dog was a stray. We don't know its whole medical history. This is our medical history that we have, that we got on this pet, because it has to be checked before it's sent to a human. They need to have a vet check before they go to a home.
Okay.
Every reputable rescue will have records of a vet appointment before it goes to you. That's super important. And making sure they're up to date on vaccines.
Yeah, I could not imagine adopting a dog. Just thinking about the stringent process of purchasing Bailey and Banjo and all the health. I can't imagine purchasing or going and getting a rescue dog and not having a single shred of hey, it's healthy. Ooh.
Yeah, that would be a bad.
That's huge. That's crazy.
And then they also don't make it an initiative to get the dog returned to them if it doesn't work out. They're like, nah.
They just want to get rid of it and
Exactly.
never touch it again.
Exactly. Like I said, they don't do an interview, a vet check, a home check. And then they may not even ask you, personal questions about your life. If you have a apartment, can you even have this dog? They're not registered as a nonprofit. So the 501c3, those are registered rescues. One that isn't, I'd be a little skeptical. If it's brand new and just getting its foot on the ground and working on paperwork, that's another thing. But
is there a registry or something?
Yes.
So the AKC, you can go there, you can find the breeders.
There is a registry for rescues.
Okay.
All the 501c3 rescues are on your local government website. So mass.gov for us. And I double checked this. I went and looked.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to look into this because I'm not 100% sure, and there was. And then they don't have a contract with you, obviously. They just kind of here's my money, here's the dog.
So what you're telling me, what you literally just told me, is there's absolutely no reason for you to get a dog that wasn't in a non-response. You can literally go online and find on the AKC website good breeders that do it responsibly,
Keep in mind,
and you can find good rescues.
Exactly. Keep in mind, there are breeders on the AKC website who may not do all the testing, though. You gotta be able to do your individual research.
Okay. So take it more as a
it's
reference
a
guideline.
Yep, because as soon as you have, I think, a certain amount of litters, you can be registered as a breeder on the AKC website. However, you have to, the AKC website actually has a breeder of merit, which means they do all the recommended health testing. They have a contract. They have they tell you what each breeder has. So make sure you do your research. Just because it's on an AKC website just means they are registered breeders that have had more than 5 litters or so. So still,
no, that's fair enough.
It's a good place.
That's good.
To start
that's why
your
I'm
research.
asking these.
Good place to start your research for a breeder, and then there's a good place to start
upon it.
Exactly, to find a rescue.
Okay.
They always have puppies available. That's also a red flag because, like I said, working with puppy mills. And then pretty much doesn't try for the harder to adopt animals, like I mentioned earlier. Senior, medical case, hospice, and behavioral issues, they don't take any of those on. They only have puppies and young dogs.
What exactly do you think would make a dog very hard to adopt? Is it typically going to be looks?
Hospice is the end-of-life care. Trying to find a dog to, find a home to give it end-of-life care.
Yeah.
Senior dogs, obviously older dogs, they don't have as much time, but more time than a hospice. Medical cases, they're going to require a lot of vet appointments. Some rescues help you with that, some don't, but they make it apparent. They prepare you. If you're going to take this dog, be prepared that it's going to require a wheelchair. It's going to require physical therapy type of thing. Some dogs need to be manually expressed bladders and bowel movements. Like, that's a thing. So,
And those people are saints.
yes,
That
they are.
take those dogs.
They
like,
are.
I love dogs. I couldn't do that.
I would like to be at some point to be able to do at least senior hospice care dogs and at some point in my life, but I think I need a bigger home for that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I feel like that's such a beautiful thing to do. Just as like
and that's
human.
you're a strong person if you can do that too.
Yeah. I know a few people at the dog park that specifically do that. Like, one lady was asking me because she saw me with all the dogs. Oh, no, I'm not a rescue. I'm not doing any. I'm just a dog walker.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not. None of them are for adoption. She's like, oh, I'm just looking for just old, like old.
Yeah.
Like.
And I like when it's
that's
nice.
just so nice.
And keep in mind, like, if you're older and you want to adopt a pet, try not to get a younger dog because, say your health declines and that dog's going to end up back in a home that could have, got them for its whole
the
life.
dog too, potentially, yeah.
So that's like a good opportunity to do older or senior or hospice pets. It's harder, I know, for you mentally, but it also gives that animal a chance at the same rate that, you may be older and declining in health type of thing. But always have backup plans too. So if, say, your health declines and you have to go to a hospital, have a backup plan for your purchased dog or your adopted dog. Either way, have a backup plan.
Take a note from Chris and Robin. Just find a guy that loves your dog and put him in the will.
There you go. Dirty facilities is also a red flag for bad rescues. When you go and you just see feces and urine everywhere,
if you walk
the animal
in and it
itself
just
is
smells,
dirty. Exactly.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, I will say some places will smell because they're inundated with dogs. But if it's clean, at least, then the smell is somewhat acceptable.
Okay.
And then if they lack transparency, like they won't tell you the dog's history, like I mentioned earlier. And then they always ask for funding, but very little done with that funding. They're like, oh, let's fundraise for this dog. And then you never get an update about this dog again. So typically they're in it for the money.
So hard to believe that you would take part in like such a noble cause in such a negative way. Like, why would you even bother?
Money.
It's like
it's all about the money.
When I see dog walkers, dog walkers, there's like two categories, right? You split it right down the middle. People that are in it for the money. Because I'm not going to lie, it's not easy money, but it's money. It's enjoyable money.
You're in it for the dog, so it makes it more enjoyable.
Exactly, yeah. Like, and then there's dog walkers, like me, who just like don't care about the money. It's like I'm here for the dogs and the dogs only. And it's so sad that that's the case with rescues and breeders where
they see
just
dollar signs.
greedy people,
But overall, either way, you should adopt or buy responsibly. Do your research on either or. If you don't, you're contributing to the reason why there's the amount of animals in shelters. Responsible breeders typically won't let their dogs go to shelters, and responsible rescues will set their dogs up for success. According to most studies, like I mentioned earlier, buying dogs does not take homes away from rescue dogs because the person wasn't planning to get the rescue dog anyways. Versus, lifestyle of the owner may want a certain type of dog for that lifestyle. Backyard breeders and puppy mills are paired with unknowledgeable people are the reason why there's a buildup in rescues and shelters. If you don't plan on breeding responsibly, to neuter and spay your pet per the pet age is dependent, but don't let, your pets wander. Don't, if you're having accidental litters, you're a backyard breeder.
There's a problem.
But don't feel pressured either way to either purchase or adopt. Like I said, do it responsibly. Support either, but don't put others down and don't be put down by others for doing what you think is best for your lifestyle.
Yeah, it's the last thing that the dog community needs is negativity. Like, don't be at each other's throat. Like, what do you mean you didn't adopt that dog. Like,
Yeah.
Oh God, I had one last really good question and it just left my brain. Damn. Wow, it was a good question too. Damn.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, it's okay.
You'll think of it as we finish.
I know. I'm sure I'll think of it after. All right. Well, awesome. Well, I've learned a lot, and I know I'm gonna have to listen to this. Well, when I edit it and then post, so I edit it, and when I edit it, I listen to it.
Yeah.
And then I post it, and then I listen to it once it's posted. And I swear by the third listen, I'm still like, oh, and like, I don't know. You just teach me a lot, so I appreciate
Well, I'm
it.
glad to help, and I hope this helped a lot of you guys figure out what you want to do. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to do that. We're willing to engage, talk to you. That's totally fine. So hopefully we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks. Goodbye. Good night.